just have $400 million exit, what's the first thing you went and did?
Bought a Ferrari.
Let's go.
You don't have to know anything. You just have to know what you know and know what you don't know. I took about a year off, and then I got insanely bored. And then I also realized I'm a horrible investor. I ran the whole business model through my head because I already knew it, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm in. A big company acquires a startup. They usually it up. 93 no's. I thought literally it wasn't gonna happen.
Save the best for last, baby.
Number 4.
Ilya Pozin. What up, dog?
How are you guys?
Go.
Yo, so we were all at the same party last night, actually.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm talking about either. Jared's birthday party. You have a good time?
We had a great time.
Yeah.
So funny story on the way in. I had no clue. First, I still don't even know who Jared is. So we're going to Jared's birthday party. It's not like I was set up on a list or anything like that. Teague's like, you'll be fine. You'll get in. But you know, obviously how LA could be. We get closer. It's looking a little sketchy. They're not even letting people that are on the list in. And then Teague assures me.
you, his best friend.
Exactly. So he tells me, Teague's like, just tell them your name is Ilya Pozin.
No shit. Did you actually do that?
I'm like, okay, well, I've got some friends. How am I going to get them in? I've got these 2 girls that I'm trying to get in as well. And then also Teague is getting like some pushback, him not getting in. Then he finally figure out how to get himself in. And then as I'm like about to tap a security guard and tell him, my name's Ilya Pozin. You walk up next to me, the real Ilya Pozin. So I'm like, fuck, I see the real Ilya Pozin here. I got nothing.
That would have been
real Ilya Pozin.
Literally, what if you didn't see me and it was like happening live?
Yeah, for sure. It was about to. So anyway, I see the real Ilya Pozin. You get in. And I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm out.
It's kind of weird. I've actually been to places where I walk up and they're like, well, you're already here. I'm like, well, I'm not here. So clearly that name
You
works.
want to see my ID?
You get kicked out. You're like, this guy's trying
Hopefully this podcast won't blow up. Now everyone's going to be using my names at parties.
Because you're on every list.
Ilya Pozin. That's it. So I ended up sneaking in the side around and then tapping the same security guard on the other side to try and get my friends in.
Yeah.
So I snuck around.
Were you wearing that shirt? Because you look like
That-
one of the security
Yeah, that's
guards.
why I wear all black.
Yeah,
it's my uniform, just so you know you
Just
can get
pretend
in
you're
easily.
working and then just back up.
Your biceps aren't
outta
too
here.
big either.
It's that, or I'll bring headphones. Bring headphones wherever you go, and if you just say you're the DJ, they always let you.
That's the look. Yeah, it's not records anymore. It used to be records.
That's it, yeah.
Then it would be like, what's that?
Exactly. That's it. So,
Dude, so Ilya, the podcast is called XTRAordinary, and we bring on a wide range of extraordinary people, from musicians to breathwork gurus. You, my friend, are an extraordinary entrepreneur. And I was actually an early investor in, was Pluto your most successful exit?
So far.
I like
big
that. So
exit.
far. We're changing that.
That was
We're
a
going
big
up.
exit, though.
Yeah.
We're going
I can't
up.
remember if I was seed or pre-seed or.
You were pretty
what.
early. Yeah,
I was pretty early.
Yeah, it's good to be early.
I think I invested 50 or 100K and at least 5X'd or
If you came in
8X'd.
early, it might have been 13, 14X.
13, 14X.
Yeah.
Dude, making money for people is the best.
For you.
My guy.
You're welcome.
Let's go.
Well, dude, let's start there. Pluto has, what, 80 million viewers?
It does.
Only 80 million, huh?
80 million, over $1 billion in revenue, 3 years in a row now.
And you sold it to
Paramount.
for
About 400 million,
400 million.
around there.
Solid.
Yeah.
That's a good exit.
It's a good exit.
How do you
That's a
live
good
on that
exit.
though? Only $400 million. Like,
You know, it's tough.
it's tough. Times are tough.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
What are you driving? A Prius?
A Tesla, actually.
Tesla?
Yeah.
What model?
Model S.
Model S. That's what I drive.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's a good car. I mean, in LA, you can't really, like, expensive cars now have the wrong attention. You know, we defunded the police and now.
Yeah. Then exactly.
we're
Yeah.
screwed.
Keep it low key.
Yeah.
Yeah, no police in LA anymore.
Dude, really, like, I haven't seen a speed trap in 3-4 years.
I'm at the point where
at every stop sign.
So there's some benefits, I guess.
yeah.
yeah, it's just dangerous. It's just dangerous for everyone
It's
now.
a free for all.
That's it. Run lights. What does that mean?
Yeah,
It means
But,
go.
but Pluto, what year did you start Pluto?
2013,
And then when did you sell it?
2019.
So 6 years you built this thing.
Yeah,
And
we built it for a year, launched it in 2014. And then we went to Viacom for a content deal. And the CFO was in the meeting, which was strange because they're not there for content deals, and they gave us a term sheet. We weren't actually trying to sell the company.
Interesting. Yeah. And how much content did you have at the point?
I mean, we licensed content from a lot of different studios, and Viacom obviously is known to have one of the best content libraries. So, but they told us, we're not giving you content. We want your platform.
And that Paramount is owned by Viacom.
Yeah, so it was back then it was Viacom, and then Viacom merged with CBS.
Right.
And then Paramount was already one of their properties. They rebranded as Paramount.
Got it. But I mean, like, take me through building a company that is then sold for $400 million. Like, that is a huge amount of money.
Yeah, and also it's like you got people that want to do this but will never do it because they can't execute. And it's so important. Like, it's one thing to have an idea and have an ambition or drive, but like, how do you actually do it?
I mean,
take us through the beginning.
I mean, in tech specifically these days, if you have an idea, it's the easiest thing to prove out. You don't even need a lot of money. You could just make a landing page, make a fake website, come up with a fake company name, drive some people to the site and see if there's conversions and if it works. And then that gives you enough ammo to, all right, maybe I need to rework something or this is working. I can go to the next step.
So for people that don't know, tell us the premise of Pluto.
Yeah, so actually Pluto, so I was working completely on a different business, and my 2-year-old daughter at that point was sitting on my lap, and I was picking out YouTube videos for her on another monitor, right? And I just learned how to change diapers. I didn't know shit about kids' content, right? And I went to YouTube, and it was just kind of like Google. It's like a search bar,
right?
Right. But how do you know what to search for if you don't know what to search for, right? Like, I think search and on-demand content is really good if you know what you're looking for. But if you don't, it's a horrible experience, right? So I knew when she was in front of a regular television, you could push TV guide, right? Your guide's up. You can look at the different channels, pick a channel, and there's something already curated for you.
Right.
But nothing like that existed online. So I took the YouTube API, which is wide open. It's completely free, right? Anyone can do it. And I removed the basic things like controls. You couldn't rewind, you couldn't fast forward, you couldn't skip. And I turned it into an old school television experience.
Cool.
So I put everything into channels, put the channels on a fake schedule.
Of the YouTube API.
Of YouTube videos, and created channels for everything from stand-up comedy to cat videos, et cetera. And then put it with a TV guide on a schedule. And you would just turn to a channel, and maybe you're already 3-4 minutes into a clip, but everybody would be watching the same thing at the same time, right? And it worked because back then, YouTube was getting about 3.5 minutes per session for every time someone visited YouTube. We got 38 minutes right out the gate.
Wow.
Right, so it showed that curation is really good. If you know how to put content together into channels, people don't want to think.
You turn YouTube into TV.
People
I
don't
did,
wanna think.
and it worked, yeah. But that was still with like short form clips, right? And as the company evolved, we got better and better content. So we went to studios. We said, hey, give us some content, but we don't have a lot of money. So we'll do it on a rev share basis, right? So we'll give you 50% revenue or whatever money we make. They said no, right? Eventually, I think Lionsgate was one of the first ones to do a deal with us. And they gave us some old stuff that was never on TV anymore, right? So this was like shelved.
Yeah.
Wasn't on television.
Scraps. You're like, we'll take what we can get.
And they weren't making any money from it anyway, right?
Another man's treasure.
Exactly. But like old content like Baywatch or American Gladiators, et cetera, still has this, nostalgic feeling that
100%.
works. So we took that content and we drove traffic to it, and people watched even longer, right? So we proved out that better, more premium content obviously works better than clips. And then we started writing them bigger checks and bigger checks and bigger checks. And that's when kind of the flywheel started to turn, because the more people watched, right, the more money they made, the better the content. The more money they made, the better the content they gave us. The better the content they gave us, the more people watched, and it kind of turned into this whole cycle.
The flywheel.
And if you look at Pluto today, I mean, it's got, new movies, TV shows, hundreds of channels, and it's
But
top line.
talk to me a little bit about your business model. So Pluto is free for viewers.
Yeah. So this was a crazy thing. So the whole world in 2014 when we launched, right? Everything was about subscription services. This was when Netflix, if you remember, was kind of, Netflix used to only be able to watch on your phone or your computer, and then it started to go onto TVs, right? Through like Roku and Fire TV sticks and stuff like that. But it was all about this wave of people canceling their cable and then buying a subscription service. I think Netflix at that point was like $8 a month or something, super cheap, no ads. But cable was by far the dominant way people watch TV, and it still is today.
Is
right?
it? Really?
It is, yeah. But like the average American family watches 5.5 hours of TV every single day.
Wow, that's
crazy.
Cable.
Yeah,
Concerning.
cable is 67% of that consumption.
Wow.
Yeah, and Netflix is like 7% of all the consumption. Wow. And Pluto's actually 1%, which is kind of crazy.
I wonder what YouTube is. I feel like it's
YouTube's a big chunk. Yeah. But back then, so we, the concept worked with this whole YouTube API, and we started to raise capital, and we had 93 no's. I thought literally it wasn't going to happen because every investor was like, well, I don't want to watch something with ads. But we wanted to prove out that you can run a very sustainable business by cutting out the other revenue stream, which is subscription. We can run just ads, right? But everyone thought we were completely nuts. Even if they took a meeting, then we got rejected. Most of them didn't even take a meeting because we would pitch them a service, and the investors have money, right? And so they're not the customer of the service. They didn't get it. Like, why would I, for $8, I can get an ad-free service. Why would I want this? Finally, U.S. venture partners, like a big VC out of the Bay Area, took a bet on us, and the rest was history.
How much
you guys raised?
I
think like a $10 million round. I think total in the whole company we raised about $40 million only through a couple rounds. So it wasn't a ton of money. And we were deciding when Viacom acquired the company, we were deciding to go out there and raise a lot more money because we needed it for content.
Yeah.
So the decision kind of came to a head. Like, do we go raise capital or do we take this acquisition deal? And we decided to take the deal.
Nice.
Was your background coding or computer science? Like, how did you know how to take an API and do that?
Yeah, I was always kind of the neighborhood computer nerd, if you will.
Okay,
So I built computers when I was a kid.
Nice.
I learned how to code, but I'm not a great coder. There's better people out there. I know enough to be dangerous, enough to how to manage teams, but I'm not the right person to do it.
Yeah.
But I was always kind of the computer nerd growing up. And then in like 1999, 2000, when the internet started to become really mainstream and businesses started going online, because I was that computer guy, everyone wanted to get their computers built. People started coming to me for websites. They're like, can you make a website for my business? So not really knowing how to do it, I hired a buddy that was a designer, another friend that was a developer, and we started this company called Cyplex, right? When I was 17 in high school, and
That was your
17.
first business.
that was my first business.
So you were the computer guy. People came to you for websites. You didn't really know how. So you put a team together, start a company, and start making people websites.
Look, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is self-awareness. Because you don't have to know anything. You just have to know what you know and know what you don't know, right? Because then you can hire everybody around you that knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right? I think Elon even said this. He said, I didn't go to Harvard, but people that work for me did. Right? I think that's an important thing to recognize as an entrepreneur. You don't have to know anything, really. You just have to know how to build and hire and recruit the right team.
Are you a big Elon guy?
I mean, I like Elon. I think he's a change maker, right? He's a disruptor. He doesn't mess around in like little stuff.
Yeah.
Are you a big Elon guy?
Massive.
Huge Elon guy.
Massive Elon.
Massive
Love
Elon
Musk.
guy, dude.
That's great.
Like you said, he's a change maker, man. Like,
I think it's important. I think he's saving the world. The dude's Tony Stark.
he's brought in
payments, cars, rockets,
everything.
Yeah.
Literally, now he's moving into like brain
Yeah,
chips.
AI
like,
brain chips.
Let's go.
Would you get one?
Probably round 2. Not
You already
round
have one, don't you?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
You do
The
have
jig's
one
up.
already.
Yeah. I can see it. There's a scar right
It's on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chip's tiny though.
That's what she said.
It's not the size of your chip. It's how you use it.
Exactly.
It's not the,
there
it's not
you
the
go.
size of the chip, buddy.
It's the it's the giga capacity of the chip.
It's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So your background is Russian, right? You moved here from Russia?
Yeah.
or-
I was 8. We moved to the suburbs of D.C. and Maryland.
Okay.
When I was 8 years old.
Do you
Didn't
know English?
Not a word.
Wow.
Yeah. I learned English from cartoons mostly.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
That is like
Yeah, we had no money coming into the U.S. My parents sold everything. I think we had like $5,000 in their pocket, and we moved to, this kind of like 1-bedroom, cockroach-infested apartment. We got a car donated by like a local synagogue to us, and then someone donated a computer to us, and that was really what like started this whole
Everything.
Literally everything.
Right.
And it was this old. It might be in the Smithsonian now, not my exact one, but like similar model. It was like giant, like no hard drive. Everything ran on those big floppies, if you remember those.
Yeah,
And,
floppy
the
disks.
floppy
yeah,
disks.
and they had like chess, basic, which was a programming language, and like Space Invaders.
Yeah.
And literally, those are the three things I did.
The whole floppy disk could fit like 5 megabytes on
If
it.
that, right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Bro, that is the American dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much
8
of
years old.
how much of your being a Russian immigrant, how much did that have an impact on, you think, your success?
I mean, huge, because I think my parents both had amazing jobs, established lives back in Russia. They both have master's degrees. They also didn't know a word of English.
Damn.
My mom became a cashier at a grocery store.
Wow.
My dad was he was repairing like coffee machines, and he was a guard at an ice skating rink, right? It showed that hustle from the beginning. I started delivering newspapers. I took kind of like being a workaholic and working was kind of built into my DNA. It's how I was raised.
So why did they decide to move? Were they escaping persecution? Or what year was that?
A better life. This was in 91.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were just looking for a better life for myself and my brother, and kind of gave up everything they had for us, right?
Yeah.
So
Sacrifice.
yeah, and that sacrifice motivated me to just hustle and give back, right? And the second that I sold Pluto, I called him. I said, I called my dad. My mom stopped working already, but I called my dad. I was like, "You're retiring."
Yeah.
I bought him an Aston Martin.
Nice.
Dude, that is the best feeling in the world.
It was the best. That was the monumental moment. Yeah.
That is a moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now they're in Florida enjoying their life,
Yeah.
Retiring
You get to
younger.
see
It's
them
great.
I feel like
Yeah,
everyone
I
wants to
yeah.
do that at some point, right? That's
Yeah,
the dream.
because they were planning on working for another 10 plus years, right?
Yeah.
So you essentially kind of gave back for sure.
100%.
Dude.
What was the biggest challenge building out, whether it's Pluto or another successful one for you as an entrepreneur? What do you think the biggest challenge is for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for Pluto, was the biggest challenge was raising capital.
Raising capital,
for sure,
huh?
because
So hard.
yeah,
raising
and
capital.
because it's an idea, right? And you go out there and you try to prove out, why this idea would work. But idea is only part of why people invest. They invest in people. Back then, I was, kind of a successful entrepreneur through my first company, but I've never raised capital before. I didn't have a big exit. I sold my first company for a couple million. I sold another company for a few million also, but it wasn't, these investors are hearing pitches from established entrepreneurs.
Right.
Multi-time entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But my co-founder in Pluto, he was that. So actually the reason we were
what
able
was
to,
his name? What was
Tom Ryan.
That's who I originally met.
Yeah.
Tom Ryan,
And so he was the CEO of Threadless, and before he started a few companies and sold them. So really US venture partners already knew him, and they didn't even care about what we were building. They just bet on him.
Right.
Nice.
Right. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know if we would ever get funding. Right. So, but that was the hardest challenge. But as far as being able to build the companies and take ideas and iterate them, that's something that I learned how to do through my agency, the web company that I ran, because we essentially did about 300 projects a year for 12 years. So I was behind the
300 projects a year.
Wait,
I was behind the
after
Cyplex. This is the one So the one I started in high school. After college, I moved to LA and did it full time.
Okay.
And we grew it to about a $6 million a year business. So
You moved from DC to LA when you were
from DC to Florida to go to college, and then Florida to LA. And then I was always running Cyplex kind of on the side. But then I decided to go full time with it. So when we got to LA, we quickly rose to become the #1 web design, web development company in the whole city.
Sweet.
Cool.
And word of mouth grew. We were really well positioned in SEO. So you Google LA web design, we would come up #1.
SEO is a big.
How many
It was a
people?
big thing.
How many people were working for you at that point?
About
on the
40.
Team?
Oh, wow.
Solid team.
Yeah, really solid team. But what I really learned, so I was behind, we took other people's money and we made them successful businesses, right? About 400 startups, 350 e-commerce sites, from ideas all the way to big enterprise projects,
Were there
right?
any ones that I would know?
This was a while ago, so
Yeah,
I don't know if they're,
yeah.
but a bunch of dating apps all the way to movie ticketing sites. It doesn't matter, ArcLight
Right.
Cinemas we did, right? A bunch of work for Upper Deck and a bunch of others, right? But the point is, we, people have these wild dreams and expectations when they hire a company to go do work for them. They might give you 50 grand or 100 grand, but they expect $1 million outcome, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I want eBay and Craigslist and Facebook combined,
Right.
And here's $50,000.
Yeah, I don't
and
understand.
so what we got really good at was figuring out, all right, well, what's the minimal viable product? What is the minimum thing that we're going to build? So that's step one. And then how do we find teams to work on it, like engineers and designers, but maybe they're offshore, right?
Overseas.
Because they're cheaper, right? But they're still good. And how do you manage them to extract value so that they don't waste a bunch of time on the wrong things, right? Because in engineering and development, there are no rules, right? There's like 20 different languages you can write in.
Yeah.
If you ask someone to make like I don't know, a registration box, you know, when we want somebody to register, a sign up box,
Infinite
right?
ways to do it.
Like you can do it in 1 hour, or an engineer could take 3 weeks, right? For the same project, right? So you have to figure out how to guide them to spend time on things that matter and not waste time on things that don't, right? So when you don't have a lot of money coming from your clients and they expect the world, and you have to figure out how to do things in a fast way, that's kind of what I learned how to do.
And this is before Upwork. You know, this is before Freelancer, Upwork, you know, Fiverr, any of that.
And then when it comes to running your own startups, the most important thing is when you raise capital is to make that money go as long as possible, right? And to do that, we also follow the same kind of mentality. We hired people that were offshore, but I knew how to manage them and extract the most value out of them and make sure they focus on the right things.
So you're a serial entrepreneur and you just have a $400 million exit. What's the first thing you went and did?
Bought a Ferrari.
Let's go.
You know what's funny is I've never driven a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Never even been in a Ferrari. And I go to the dealership, and of course, being kind of like this Russian immigrant, I don't get a brand new Ferrari. You know, I get a used
I want a deal.
one. I want a fucking deal. I sat in the car. I kid you not, right? Like they gave me the keys. I did the transaction, and I'm sitting in there. I have no idea how to put it in drive. And I didn't want to call the dealer, look at all embarrassed. I'm literally just like, I'm by myself. No one's around. It's like I literally had to watch a YouTube video.
Looked it up.
Because it does. There's no drive thing, right?
Like on the
It's on
paddles
the paddles. But who uses paddles? Like
you
know,
never
my
use a
Audi
paddle.
didn't have that. You know?
Hilarious. YouTube. How to be rich now. Let's see. Okay.
I realized I have to Google a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
Now.
Dude, that's pretty sweet. Did you take any time off?
I did. I thought I was going to become like a full-time investor.
Okay.
And I thought that was going to be, I was going to be like retired in a way, or just like took a bunch. I took about a year off, and then I got insanely bored. And then I also realized I'm a horrible investor because for 20 plus years, I've been building companies.
You're an entrepreneur.
I wasn't investing. So and I realized all these people, they've been managing capital and investing their whole life. So I'd rather partner with somebody like that and have them manage and invest my capital than do it myself.
Fair.
And then also I think being an entrepreneur, whenever other startups started to pitch me, I couldn't just sit there and write a check and just take a back seat because I'm an operator.
Right.
So
Right.
I would have to get super involved, and I didn't want to get involved. So I just said, you know what, I'm just not going to.
And investing is a risk, right? And a way for you to mitigate that risk for you is to make sure you make sure it's successful.
Totally.
Like,
And also,
you want
like,
to do that.
You know, like the Pluto exit was a life-changing exit for myself and, you know, my kids and my whole family. And I'm not going to sit there and start making bad decisions and screw it up, right?
Right.
You know, I'm not going to be the guy that runs out of the money. So I just trust it with people that know it better.
It's smart.
Yeah, I think I was investing too. So I had, I'm an entrepreneur. My dad's an entrepreneur. I had a good first kind of exit with my record label, and then I started investing. I made some good investments in the stock market.
Like Pluto.
Yeah, like Pluto. Yep, exactly, dude.
Let's go.
Exactly. That was one of the good ones. But for every good one, which there were probably only one or two others, there were a bunch of bad ones.
Right.
And as I think back on that, it's like, I think it's because I'm an entrepreneur, not every idea is good. There was a bunch of ideas that I passed on, but it was like, I was more optimistic about people's ideas because I felt like I could have executed on something like that. Did you sense that at all?
For sure. I mean, that happens all the time, right? At the end of the day, whenever somebody pitches me their idea, like the idea itself to me is almost worthless, right? Because like, I think what's the rule of thumb? Somebody has that same idea at the same time, like eight times or something, whatever that. You know, it's all about the people, because everything comes down to execution.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
So that brings me up to the next thing I want to talk about, which is you took a year off. You've had a super successful exit. Now you're working on a really cool company that you're promoting on your sweatshirt right there.
Shameless.
Let's go, Telly.
You have to be shameless.
Yeah.
You have to be a shameless promoter. But tell us about Telly.
Yeah, so Telly is not too dissimilar from Pluto, where Pluto was ad-supported streaming, right? We built a streaming service, and it's still the #1 streaming service. And we kind of defined the whole ad-supported category, right? And just like the investors thought we were crazy, by the way, all the media companies thought we were crazy, and now everyone has an ad-supported streaming service.
I see Netflix try to add
Disney, Netflix now
experimenting with it.
Reed Hastings literally said when we launched Pluto, he's like, we're never doing ad-supported. Now he's an ad-supported.
Wow.
But he actually had some good things to say about Telly, but that's
good.
another story. But Telly is, we built a physical TV, right? Is this where we're going to roll some like
We should, yeah. Well, let's do it now.
Dude, that would have been sweet.
Roll the footage.
So it's a physical TV, but you can check it out on telly.com, Telly. And it's a dual screen TV. So
It's good domain name too.
Yeah. We just got it was free Telly before.
How much did it cost to buy Telly?
It was a good amount of money, but a portion was in cash.
Yeah.
And another portion was in stock. And I hope they're going to be, hope it's a massive success, and they tell. The previous owner of the domain tells a story of when they made like
money,
millions of dollars
domain.
because they took stock. And
sweet.
But basically, similar idea. It's a dual screen television, so it's a piece of hardware, and we're giving it away completely free. So similar to Pluto, it's fully ad supported.
Right.
And the way we looked at it is TVs today. When you're buying like a Roku or a Samsung or a Vizio TV, they sell your data and they make money on ads. They actually don't make any money on hardware.
Wow.
Vizio loses money on every TV that they sell.
Really?
And
Because TVs are a commodity.
And TVs today actually aren't that expensive. At least
they're also not smart, right? If you look at the whole category, TVs are the biggest screen in your home, but the dumbest. Highly underpowered because they try to like make them as cheap as possible.
Yeah, your watch is definitely smarter
because like you're just watching things on a screen. It doesn't do anything, right? It doesn't. There's not much to it. But and I think it kind of missed the mark because once again they're the biggest screen in the home. We have all these other devices that popped up like speakers and voice assistants and smart home controllers, right? But why? Your TV should have been doing that all along.
Good point.
Well, we realize it's because there is no in a commodity business. What happens is it's a race to the bottom on price, and there's no room for innovation.
Right.
So they're looking to figure out how to, save on the ink cost on the box by 32 cents.
Yeah.
They're not going to put a faster processor inside. They're not going to put a camera in there so you could do Zoom calls. And now you have to, when you buy a TV, you got to buy speakers because it doesn't come with speakers.
The last thing I want to do is make it more expensive.
Exactly. Wow. So, consumers walk into Costco, they see what's on sale, very little brand loyalty, right? They don't care if it's LG or Sony or Vizio or Samsung, whatever it is, they just buy it, right? And so we built the whole company at Telly following the same model as Pluto, where we said, let's cut out one of the revenue streams, right? So similar to cable has subscription and ads, Pluto only had ads.
Right.
Televisions sell hardware and make money with ads. Let's not sell the hardware. Let's give it away. But let's not build a budget TV also. Let's build the smartest TV by far in the world, right? So let's not cut any corners. Let's overload it with extra processing power, extra sensors, right? And kind of like a Tesla. Tesla pushes out software updates, right?
Yeah.
Like every 2 to 4 weeks. And the car literally becomes newer,
better,
and smarter, which is insane if you think about it, right? So traditional TV companies, so TVs are owned for about 7 years, which is great. So really long lifetime value. And traditional TV companies worry about like supporting old models or building new models. We just built one. We don't want to put a new TV in the market every year.
So you're telling me that right now anybody can go to telly.com and get a free TV?
Completely. Well, you'll get on our wait list because the demand is huge. But
huge demand.
Yeah.
That's
demand
fair.
is huge,
And
which is good for you.
What's the break even point for a TV to be on in someone's house to kind of like?
I mean, it's so TVs are owned for 7 years, right? And our monetization is incredibly strong because we have 2 screens. So that bottom screen is on with your top screen. And the bottom screen, while you watch TV, we show you news, weather, sports scores.
Cool.
Just really useful, like stocks.
It's a dual screen?
Yeah, it's a dual screen TV with a sound bar in between, right? And it's got a camera for Zoom calls and fitness, and it's got a voice assistant, Harman Kardon speakers. This thing is
nice.
Like it's so overloaded.
Wait. Okay, so if you sign up, you're on a wait list.
Yeah.
That means that there's huge demand.
Massive.
Right?
About 400,000 people on our wait list right now.
So why, like what's preventing you from going, like, so your bottleneck is manufacturing speed, Or
no, I mean,
why don't you just go make
we're a
400?
startup, so we put out thousands of TVs in the market. We proved out that our business works.
Okay.
And then, as a startup normally does, they go raise more capital, right? And it's kind of like a football game. You move the chains, right? So
you're raising capital right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're always raising capital.
Always. Startups always.
But now, in order to put more units out, because they're free, somebody's got to pay for them, right?
Let me ask you this: who would be the most ideal strategic partner for you?
I mean, there's so many. Look, Walmart just acquired Vizio, which was a good testament to our business because they bought them for advertising.
Walmart bought Vizio?
Walmart just bought Vizio.
Interesting.
And they bought them for like a couple $2 billion, like 2.3, 2.4 billion.
Nice.
But they bought them for the ads, not for the TVs, right? Because they also saw TVs were a commodity. Walmart has already a $3 billion ads business. But Amazon, their biggest competitor, has a $40 billion ads business. So, that's their way of growing their ads business. And what better way to utilize the advertising on the TV than to drive people to your store to buy more products?
100%.
Right? So that's what they did. But yeah, so our whole business model is built around advertising. And that bottom screen, not only does it show, like 80% of it is not ads, 80% of it is useful info, but there's an ad in the bottom right corner. And we use that ad to monetize the entire time you're watching TV. And our TVs are watched for over 6 hours every single day. So there's a lot for 7 years. So imagine
these are people that potentially didn't have a TV, so the first thing you're going to watch.
Or they had a TV, they just decided to upgrade to the smartest TV in the market.
Oh, good point.
So,
yeah, it's a better TV.
And the business is working. So we're now gearing up to scale. We want to deliver over 1 million units this year alone.
Damn.
And the demand is there. The advertiser demand is there. The consumer demand is there. Our business model is working. Next step is just to raise more capital.
Okay, so successful exit with Pluto. Another really successful, a lot of signs of success with Telly. What does that feel like? How's that feel? Like as an entrepreneur, obviously things are a roller coaster. It's a daily grind.
But it's kind of like what is in my DNA. It's what I love doing. I'm good at it.
Cool.
It doesn't feel like a job at all. I'm not doing it for the money. The money is just a byproduct of building something successful. You build it because you're good at building it, and you want to change the world, right? We literally created that word "fast" now for ad-supported streaming. We defined that. That didn't even exist before.
That's right.
What do you know what his Instagram handle is?
Ilya never sleeps. I believe that's right. Yeah.
Now I see why that's
you literally never sleep.
I would wake up in the middle of the night with. I went to bed with a problem in my head, and woke up with a solution. Like
nice.
It would be just
always
crazy.
thinking.
Yeah, and I think it's because my first company, when we were behind the build of these 3,000 projects, at a certain point, every business became the same to me. I'm not a TV person. I don't watch a lot of TV. I barely watch TV.
Yeah,
and then
same.
I built Pluto, and now I'm building another TV company randomly. But it's not. It allows me to be objective and not have any personal bias.
True. You're doing more of something that you already understand as well, which is really important, I would say.
Yeah, and even just to give you an example, when at Pluto, when a studio would give us a list of movies to pick from, and our content team would pick these 32 titles out of 300, I would challenge them, be like, well, because personally, I didn't know shit about the content. So I was like, well, why'd you pick those 30? Well, oh, I like those movies. Well, that wasn't good enough for me. So I was like, well, why don't we create an algorithm for picking out content? And they're like, well, I don't know. They're like, we checked ratings, but these movies are so old, they're not on TV anymore. How do we know if they're good? So I was like, all right, I'll figure out how to solve it. I went online and I created an algorithm where we looked at the most recent reviews on Rotten Tomatoes for that content. We saw which ones were most popular. And then I did something crazy. We all know torrents, right? The illegal streaming.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I subscribed to this database that tracked all the torrenting on the internet.
Okay.
So I put all those movies into that database, and I said, show me the illegal downloads for each title. And let's take the 30 most popular ones. Right, because even if they're old, you can still,
demand right there.
Which is crazy, right? So that solved that problem. Yeah.
Huge. Nice. Where do you get your drive from? I mean, it's a lot of work.
I think it's just that built-in kind of DNA being an immigrant, and it's just in me. I'm a workaholic. I don't think even after Telly, I don't think there's retirement in my blood. I think I'm just going to keep going.
What's your vision for 1 million TVs this year? Okay. Are you trying to have another exit? Would you want to take your company public?
Yeah. I mean, I've never taken a company public. That could be interesting. But whenever you're building something, it's just like the money thing is a byproduct, right?
Yeah.
The exit is a byproduct. You never built to sell.
Yeah,
we didn't
of
try to
course.
sell Pluto. Somebody came to us and gave us an offer. I just want to build the biggest
Do
company.
you ever look back and be like, I feel like I could have built it into something bigger? Or like,
I mean, I don't think so. I don't have any regrets. Look at Pluto today. It's a massive household name. We just had a Super Bowl commercial,
Yeah,
which is insane.
That's right. That's right.
The company was started 10 years ago. It was literally just an idea I had, and now we're on the Super Bowl.
that's a proud,
that is success.
That's a proud moment.
I mean, I watched it on the telly. Well, it was
On the telly, that's right.
I teared up.
You watched your last company's Super Bowl commercial
On the new company.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, and then next year we got to have the telly halftime show. I think it has a good ring to it.
Yeah, I like that.
I like
The
it.
Telly halftime
No, but I
show.
don't look back. Look, if we held on to it maybe another year, I think we could have sold it for over $1 billion. Because it continued. When we were selling the company, we were growing 300% year over year. And there was no end in sight. But on the other hand, Amazon, Google, Roku, they all were competing with us.
Yep.
And we only raised like $40 million. And they had billions of dollars in there. We were going up against companies that literally could outbuy us.
It was like trimming
But
your...
the one thing that startups have against every other big company and why they win is speed.
Yeah.
It's the only advantage, right? It's that saying like good, cheap, fast, pick three or pick two. Yeah, we knew how to operate, in under budget, like with not a lot of capital, but move insanely fast.
Right.
Cheap and fast.
And what happened actually, you saw this slow down. When Pluto was acquired, right, I now had a job at Viacom, right? I found myself to be now working for someone, which is crazy. But everything went to like a completely different pace. There were now, I think when we sold, we were at 100 people. We quickly became 400, 500 people. If somebody had an idea, they now had to get approval from 6, 7 different people. And in corporate companies, people don't like to take risks.
Yep.
Because
they don't want to get fired.
Because they don't want to get fired.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there's like all the politics of people protecting their own careers is exactly why big companies move slow and startups outpace them. Like the team I have now at Telly, they're all experienced, veterans in what they do. They have the perfect blend of startup DNA and big company experience, but they know that they are not going to get fired if they make a mistake. This is what we do. It's
important.
We move quickly and then we adjust along the way. And somebody once said this about me. He's like, Ilya, you're like when you kind of shoot a gun, it's like you're supposed to be ready, right? Aim, fire. I'm like, ready, fire, and then I'll aim, right?
Exactly.
And that's the way that startups move is first, they make a gut call. You have to have people at the table that are able to make a gut call, right? So we make a gut call, and then you use real time data, and then you adjust along the way.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
How big is the team at Telly now?
We're 68 people now.
That's big.
Yeah, it's a big team. Yeah, yeah. And look, in 2.5 years, we literally built a TV company.
Yeah.
Like a massive television company that's
68 people.
Yeah, but the product is insanely good.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like people
Where are you
rave and love it.
manufacturing?
In China. Well, all the
China,
TVs
yeah.
are pretty much made in
Exactly,
China.
yeah.
So it's it's the lowest, the cheapest way to make them. But the cool thing about TVs, it's kind of similar to building a computer. It's not rocket science. Like we're not. People always get. There's always like this weird thing about hardware. Investors say hardware is hard. They love saying that.
Yeah.
It's not hard. I've never done hardware
invent
before.
Anything. Well, it's like you didn't invent building a new TV.
No,
Like,
I mean,
TVs were made,
we did a dual screen TV.
Right,
we had
yeah.
to make the chips that work with 2 screens, which is never done before. But we're using all existing parts.
Right.
We're not sitting there and soldering shit together.
Right.
Like this isn't like a Peloton bike or something like that. You have to, even that, I don't think is like.
Yeah,
it already
pretty
exists.
Nothing novel.
straightforward, yeah.
TVs have
do
existed
it.
for a long time. It's a commodity. So there's like 4 companies that make 80% of all the TVs in the world.
Yeah.
So we just work with one of them, right? It's like so. And I hate the whole mentality when VCs go hardware's hard. Right? If you look at every big company from like Google to Microsoft to Amazon, guess what they all have? Hardware.
Yep.
Right?
Every single one.
And why are they big? Hardware. Right? Apple's big because of the iPhone, right? Like they all have hardware. Everything's about hardware. So and we took the same software mentality of how to build software and applied it to hardware, which is also atypical, right? Like for example, when we were first building out Telly, like we hired this guy that was like he built the remote control for Amazon Fire TV.
Okay.
We're like, wow, that's perfect. So we asked him, I was like, how long to build a remote control for us? He said, 1.5 years. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you 1.5 years to build a remote control? I have 4 right there. Just copy that one, put a different button on it.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. So we let him go, right? So that's the mentality people have in the hardware world, right? Where everything has to be unique and innovative. At the end of the day, if it's a commodity business, just take it. It's already there. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. You were Forbes 30 under 30 for something?
Yeah, Inc. 30 under 30.
Inc. 30, yeah. And then you were like top
Not the
one.
tattoo magazine. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, different one. No tats. No tats.
Yeah.
And you were on another list that was like top 100 influential with like Mark Cuban and like all these sweet people.
Yeah.
Have you found that winning awards like that or like having the success has made it easier to start your next thing?
I mean, I don't think it's those things that help you. At the end of the day, awards are just awards. I think it's your past hits, right? Like at the end, like when we went out to raise capital for Telly, it was a completely different, thing because I already had a big exit. Because I had a big exit, I was first and foremost able to recruit an A-list team. Mm-hmm. So Telly is a crazy, big, bold idea, right? Who says we're going to build the smartest TV and give it away for free?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So different.
It's crazy,
so different.
Right? And so it was a big idea, but we also recruited people that, worked in big companies and took massive salary cuts to come work with me on building this next great idea because of the past exit. Like, for example, like our head of product, Sasha, ran Android TV at Google.
Wow.
Fire.
Like, which no better experience building a TV operating system than the guy who literally...
How'd you get him?
Recruited him. He loved the idea. He loved my background, and he wanted to work on something disruptive.
Do you remember the moment where the idea for Telly sparked in your head, or what was that like? Can you walk us through?
It wasn't even in my head. So my business partner is a guy named Shervin Pishavar.
Okay.
And Shervin is I don't know if you know him, but he's a
VC.
Huge VC. He's had 93 exits. He was behind Uber and Airbnb and like you name it, right? He actually led the Series B for Uber. Cool. Which, if you think about it, is crazy. I think Uber only had like Uber only had 9,000 cars on the roads then.
Wow.
Right. And anybody who he brought in as an investor, he more than 100x the return. So when you make a lot of people a lot of money, you make a lot of really good friends and they trust you. So he did that for many times over in other companies. So I was actually on vacation in Mexico, and I knew he was having he was he was there on a trip with a bunch of friends as well, and I booked my restaurant reservation at the same restaurant at the same time as he was there. It was Jared, whose birthday we were at. Jared Lyons, whose birthday we were just at. Mm-hmm. He was in that group, and he's like, "Hey, Shervin's going to be here," and he's a legend. So I was like, "Shit, I got to
pull up."
Okay. Yeah, then Shervin
Open table.
Yeah, I was like, I got to book at the same time. I sent him a bottle of wine. I went to hang out, and Shervin actually ended up passing him. He was one of the investors that passed on Pluto. So I went to see him, and I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you passed on my last company." He goes, "I only back $100 billion companies." I'm like,
"What a line!
Yeah.
What a line!"
Yeah. And then he showed me the concept for Telly, which was built around.
He showed you the concept for Telly.
So his concept was a dual screen TV, and the bottom was just an ad. But what he didn't realize was the second screen can do so much more than advertising. But the idea, the emphasis started with. Was inspired by Pluto, but it was his, and he brought it to me. And I was already working on another startup then. That I was like cooking up on my own. Mm-hmm. And I literally, within 30 seconds, like I ran the whole business model through my head because I already knew it, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm in. So
is he your founding partner?
Yeah, we're co-founders. Yeah, so he's chairman, I'm the CEO, and we've been building this for 2.5 years. We were stealth for 2 of them. Yeah. We just kind of came out publicly in May.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's a legend. He's like one of those people that you look up to your whole life, and now you get to work with him, right? And
Did he ask you if you wanted to be his partner in it?
Yeah.
Or were you like,
so that means you already had his respect.
No, he brought it to me. Yeah. As much as I was looking to find him, he was looking for me.
Sometimes that's,
lines up for a reason.
Yeah. Timing in life is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's a legend. I mean, he's worked with Elon and, Travis on Uber and a lot of great entrepreneurs. And so it's good to be in the same wavelength.
What's Travis and Uber doing right now?
He's behind Ghost Kitchens. Like he has a company called Cloud Kitchens.
Yeah, Cloud Kitchens.
That's right.
Popping off. It's probably a good thing that he passed on Pluto early, because then he kind of like, you know, you got his respect without him, and now it's like, let me bring you in instead of me doing you almost like a favor early, and then you guys make some money together. It's like
and it's so good
worked out perfectly.
I mean, I think the other thing that's great is typically when a big company acquires a startup, they usually fuck it up.
Yep.
They run it into the ground, or they get rid of the brand. What's cool about our acquisition is they knew what we built was working. And Tom is actually still there. He works for Paramount. But what's cool about it is they let us run it the way we wanted to run it.
Cool.
Right? They didn't. The name is still there. The company still works, and it's still a massive success for that reason.
How long was the deal for part of the acquisition for you to run it?
I had a 2-year deal. I left after 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you allowed to do that? Or they didn't make you earn out?
They probably
No, there was
breached the
no earn
contract
out.
or anything?
I gave up, some salary, but there was no earn out.
That's good that you didn't have to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, when, once again, I'm used to just be calling the shots and moving quickly.
True.
And it's not even about like the way the parent company changed it. It's just, I think once you get to a certain number of people, it just naturally changes, right?
Yeah.
So even if it was a startup, but we got to 500 people, I think at that point it still changes. There's just too many people that are involved in every single piece. It's
100%.
Yeah, in order to move quickly, you have to do it with a smaller team.
Yeah. Small, nimble team. It's like a speedboat versus a Freightliner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't work on a Freightliner. Too slow.
You're at 68 people and your business is mostly digital. Are you a believer in stay-at-home work or remote work, or do you require all your people to come into the office?
No, what's crazy is we started Telly during COVID. So it wasn't one of those situations where everyone worked in an office and then went home and now you're trying to get them back in the office. We never had an office. We still don't have an office.
Really?
So our
everybody
whole
is
team
remote.
is completely
Everyone
remote.
remote.
Yeah. In fact, Sasha lives in Zurich, right?
No way.
So what that does is it allowed me to hire the best people without location agnostic. We didn't have to figure out where they are. We didn't care where they are.
Yeah.
So our team is I think there's only 7 of us in LA.
Wow.
Yeah, everyone else is everywhere.
And Sasha is like your CTO. He's our
head of product.
Head of product,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, but we have a lot of really good people at the
And then
table.
Shervin is he up in SF or is he in
He's
LA?
in Miami now.
He's in Miami.
Yeah, but he's here all the time.
Yeah. Man, those
Everyone's remote.
California taxes are just no bueno.
I already paid him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They already paid.
At the end of the day, I think LA is great. The weather is great. There's no humidity.
Yeah.
Right. You've got perfect weather 9-10 months of the year.
Yeah.
So
Except for this year.
you got to pay 14% extra for good weather. Then you have a better life, right?
There you go.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I moved to Puerto Rico to start Energy X.
See, I can't do that. I can't just to save 14%. I got to live somewhere I don't want to live. I don't.
But
a little bit
Puerto
more than
Rico is
14%,
nice.
but
Well, that's what California taxes are.
yeah.
But you save on federal too.
Exactly.
fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
0 capital gains tax in Puerto Rico and only 4% corporate tax.
Yeah,
Which is
that sounds better. But then are
solid.
you actually
Yeah.
happy there?
Dude, I was very.
I love Puerto
very
Rico.
Well, if you're happy, yeah, I don't speak Spanish.
You
You
can learn.
speak Russian, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Nazarovia.
What you Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think we're all kind of in this pursuit of happiness. I'm happy here, and
That's the number one thing, because you have a lot of people that are trying to do things, or maybe, billionaire, that they're never going to find happiness, unfortunately, and that's, up to them. So that's the ultimate thing.
got to do what you love
100%.
and where you love it. Yeah.
Yep. I was talking to this Chinese billionaire, and he said that what a lot of Americans don't understand is no matter what people work for, they can never work for their freedom, which is something we all have over here.
Yeah.
For the most part. Just damn, no matter what you got,
What a line.
it's like, we've got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
A billionaire. It's like, shit. So I feel like as Americans, we definitely take that for granted.
I feel like that is kind of a lot of what your parents were thinking about coming to the U.S. from Russia.
For sure.
No matter what success they've already seen over there, super established in Russia, they're willing to give everything up for the pursuit of their children and their lives, even if it meant now becoming a grocery store
Clerk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cashier. And I mean, look at the outcome, right? And by the way, my parents were completely, they're against me starting a company. Because They wanted me to get like a normal. Yeah, they're risk averse.
You
right?
will be doctor.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, go to school. And,
Go to school.
And I was never
Engineer.
I never had good grades in high school. I barely had a 3.0. The only reason I even got a 3.0 is because in my last year of school, 4 of my 8 classes, I was an intern for the computer administrator for the school, which was an automatic 4 A's. Which bumped up my GPA.
Bumped up the whole GPA.
You know what I mean? But like, other than that, I wasn't a good student. I was a horrible test taker.
There you go.
I got waitlisted for Florida State University. Nobody gets waitlisted for Florida State.
Everybody gets
I had to go to Tallahassee Community College first.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Now
they're calling me to go speak at their school. I was like, you fuckers, you let me
waitlisted.
Yeah, like
that.
Yeah.
Hear that, kids? Even if you're bad at school, you
Yeah.
can exit for $400 million.
That's right. I mean, look.
You speak at our graduation?
What's that?
Can you speak at our
Yeah, I was like, you guys didn't let me in.
Yeah.
I know why you want me there. You want me to like put my name in the library or
Yeah,
something.
donate the money.
It's wild.
Immigrate from Russia when you were 8 years old, got your first computer donated, started your first company at 17.
17, yeah.
Started Pluto, sold it for 400 mil, and now starting potentially your next $1 billion business.
Yeah.
Let's
You're
go,
what I would
baby.
consider extraordinary.
Definitely extraordinary.
Dude, the American dream.
Trying.
It's important. It's also really inspiring for people that need to hear that. You know, I think there's a lot of people in the world that have, you know, a dream. They don't necessarily know how to go about doing it. Maybe they don't have the drive, but like sharing stories like yours is what is going to spread that ripple effect for other people. Maybe it's that moment where it's like, you got your computer. Maybe this is going to, you know, push someone to get their computer or go after it, or maybe believe in themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You weren't a good test taker.
Yeah.
You didn't get good grades, but that's not going to stop you from doing extraordinary things.
Didn't
and
even
it's not going to
speak
stop other
English.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, the most important trait for me, I think that everyone should focus on is self-awareness. Because it's all about knowing what you don't know and knowing how to find people that complement what you know.
That's really good advice.
You just don't want
entrepreneurs
to. You don't want to just find a bunch of people that just agree with you, and or just because if I know how to do something, I don't want to hire somebody that knows how to do the same.
Have the same skills.
Yeah.
Complement
Yeah.
instead. It's a puzzle piece. You know.
That's right.
Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is episode number 4.
Let's go, baby.
Let's run it back in a year or two.
Let's do it.
Excited.
The post-Telly exit episode?
Yeah. Or better yet, when it's the Telly Super Bowl halftime show.
Right. And we're ringing the bell at the NASDAQ.
Yeah.
Open. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
As long as you invite us to ring the bell.
Done.
Yeah. I'm calling it right now. Telly Super Bowl halftime show.
The Telly halftime show.
I like it.
Just the Telly halftime show.
Yeah.
Telly
It
halftime
has a
show.
great ring to it.
Yeah.
Make that happen, bro.
Sponsored by Teletubbies.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Good to see you.
You too.